Welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I'm your host, Amala Epinobi, and today we have much to discuss, and I'm going to be cracking up the whole show because the Democrats are flailing right now. They're having a little bit of a tough time. They're trying to bring in different voter bases, and in particular on today's show, we're going to talk about them trying to appeal to men. They're having a rough time hitting the masculine demographic. So we're going to talk about Obama, Kamala, all these different celebrities trying to roll out the red carpet and bring men along to vote for Kamala, and I don't know that it's working. But before we go there, of course, we got Taylor in Nashville.
Hey, yeah, the writers of 2024 have really delivered some solid comedic content with everything going on in the news cycle right now. So let's get into it.
Yeah, dude, this is crazy. We're going to start off with Barack Obama, who was at this sort of like black voters event. And, you know, black people are not really showing up and showing out for Kamala Harris. A lot of them are becoming Trump supporters. And we've seen this trend sort of take place as for a long time, black people were sort of expected to vote for Democrats at the tune of something like 90+% of black people just handing over their vote to Democrats, and now not so much. So of course they had to bring out Barack Obama because Barack Obama is like the black man, I guess. It's their go-to black guy. Everybody loves Barack. He's so charismatic. You know, he listens to Tupac and Kanye, and he puts out his summer playlist every year. What do you mean you're not going to vote for the same guy he votes for? You know, you have the same skin color as him. Don't you remember? He smoked weed in college. Don't you remember? And then they roll Barack Obama out. And Barack is tired, you know? You can only lean on that charisma, that swag, that drip for so long. And people are starting to see through it. Because, you know, even though he can talk and run circles around people, he didn't do a lot of great things for black people. Now, let's watch Barack Obama try to address these black men, try to get them out there for Kamala. Hope, my fellow Americans. That's my Barack Obama impression, by the way. It's pretty good being a woman. Let's watch.
Communities is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak.
Hold up. Not the brothers. I know he did not just say more pronounced with the brothers. And we gonna do it again in 2024. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a brother for his vote to Kamala Harris. Oh.
And say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences.
I have to keep pausing. Police grew up like you? How are you to know that they that she grew up like me or grew up like them, went to the same school as you. She went to Howard. I'm just envisioning a black man being like, Mr. President, I went to Harvard. I went to Yale. She was not in the same university as me. She does not have the same experience as me. She does not have the same background as me, which her background is already being called into question. We don't need to get into all that. But just to assume that somebody has the same experience as you because you have a similar skin tone doesn't make sense. And people are really starting to wake up and realize this speech is so tone deaf with everything that Americans are going through right now. Oh, I know you're hurting when you go to the gas station. Oh, I know you're hurting when you go to the grocery store. Oh, I know there's illegal immigrants flooding through our southern border. And that was caused by this current administration, and that same face that you're seeing is now running for president. I know you're seeing all these things. I know you were just deeply impacted by hurricane season that just hit the southeast of the United States. Let's just close our eyes to those realities and open our eyes to the fact that she's the same skin color as you, and therefore you should go and vote for her. Please make it make sense. There's more to this clip though. He has more to say.
He said to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land.
She achieves the second highest office in the land. She's working harder. She had to do more than any other person. Where's the evidence of that? In fact, we have a lot of evidence to the contrary. If you look through old LA Times archives, they talk about Kamala Harris being quite lazy, getting a job that she did not deserve, often not showing up for that job. When we look into some of the responses to her time as VP, people who were working on her campaign, people who were working with her in the administration, she had some of the highest turnover as far as aides to her campaign and her administration. And she also has many reports of her being hella lazy, showing up to briefings and press meetings and all these different things and not being ready at all whatsoever to even talk about the subject matters that she's there for, leaning on the people that she employs to just force feed her information so that she can go and spit it out. We've all seen her as she goes up and tries to talk to a crowd, a teleprompter right in front of her. As soon as that thing glitches, we don't know what's going to come out of her. 32 days. 32 days. We all watched that clip. We know what Kamala Harris is actually like. I don't know that she's the most hardworking individual that we've ever seen. I don't know that she's particularly honest. I don't know that we have any shared experiences. And for them to just sort of parade out Barack Obama in this hopes of like, I'm just like you guys, and I'm telling you, you need to vote for Kamala Harris. It's getting tired. It's getting old. And in a minute here, we're going to get to some responses from Black people, and you're going to know just how tired and old it is to them. But I'm glad people are starting to realize that you can't just like slap Barack Obama's face on it and people are just going to light up and start supporting whatever it is that he supports. And they keep trying this over and over again. I think they were quite successful with it with Joe Biden. You know, we knew that he was not the best candidate. We knew he wasn't all there upstairs. He kept showing up and having all these problems, these gaffes. He was tripping downstairs. And then they just roll Barack Obama out. He'd do a cartwheel and start playing Kanye and put out his summer playlist. And people would be like, oh, you know, if Barack gets down with Biden, I guess I'm going to get down with Biden. Not so much anymore. Now I got to play this response from this woman that she posted. She posted this, I think, on TikTok. Warning for language. But this is how a lot of people feel about Barack Obama at this very moment in time. The polls are reflecting it, and Black voters are coming out and saying, hell no, I am not going for just another face on the same machine that has been working in this country for so long and not doing much for not just Black people, but American people.
This message is for Barack. Ain't never did a fuck ass thing for niggas in the 8 years he was in the White House ever. Obama. Keep Black men's name out your motherfucking mouth. We not about to do that. That's what we not about to do. And I'm a Black woman that's not playing with your motherfucking ass, Mr. Biracial. Okay? You ain't did a fuck ass thing for us in the 8 years that you was in the White House. And you think you gonna pop up during an election year and try to scold Black men for not wanting to vote for your candidate? Have you lost your fucking mind? I need you to go back into whatever cave and hole you fucking came out of and stay there. You're not about to come out and try to disrespect black men. We're not about to fucking do that. And this is a black ass woman telling you that. It's not happening. I'm not going for it. If you thought that I was going to hop on a bandwagon and be like, yeah, tell them. Fuck no. Be quiet. Be quiet. There are millions of people in this country that are not voting for Kamala. And it's her motherfucking fault. Every time she opens her mouth, bullshit flies out. Teleprompter, no teleprompter. It's all bullshit. We know she was raised in a middle class family. We don't give a fuck. The last 4 years have been hell for us. And you sitting over there with your millions of dollars and you want to reemerge, come out of hiding when they need you, and then you're going to point your motherfucking finger at black men? It's not motherfucking happening. What Iyanla said, not on my watch. Not on my watch. Take your ass back to the hole you crawled out of with that big ass wife you got and leave us the fuck alone.
Not the big ass wife. Okay. That might have been a low blow. Even for me, that might have been a low blow. But what she's talking about is so very real. It's so interesting that they package like conservatives and Republicans in this way of like, they want to use and abuse black people. They view you as lesser. They think that they are superior to you. They're white nationalists, they're white supremacists. Meanwhile, Democrats think that black people are so stupid that every year they can just roll out their token black Obama and have him say some stuff to black people and call them brothers. And then they're just going to expect that black people are going to show up to the polls and support Kamala Harris because Barack Obama said so. Who really views you as lesser? Who really views you as inferior? Who really views you as stupid when this is the way that Democrats refer and speak to black people? And she's so right when she says they just waltz Barack Obama out of one of his many mansions around election time so he can come and talk to you. He has no relation to the life you're living. He does not care about how Americans are being impacted by this current administration. He knew President Biden was unfit to be president, yet still allowed that to take place, still gave his endorsement. He knows Kamala Harris is not fit to be president, yet still rolls her out, still gives his endorsement. So it speaks to his character and who he is as a person underneath all the charisma and all the tricks that he can pull on other people. And you know, she's not the only one realizing it. She's part of this compilation as well. Somebody put together a compilation of black people responding to Barack Obama and black men in particular. Let's roll some clips.
Hey, Barack Obama, as a black man, this must be sad, man. Fuck you. Fuck Kamala Harris and fuck the Democratic Party. You vote for Trump, bruh.
This message is for Barack. Ain't never did a fuck ass thing for niggas in the 8 years he was in the White House ever. Obama. Keep black men's name out your motherfucking mouth.
Man, if you gonna sit your biscuit head ass down somewhere, goofy looking motherfucker, like Slender Man looking motherfucking ass, like ain't nobody trying to listen to you, bro. You didn't get the memo. The community ain't fucking with you, dog. We ain't fucking with you. We ain't got two words for you. Yes, we do. High and by. We are not fucking with you, B.O.
So they sent Obama to come get us and bring us back to the Democratic plantation. He like it. They sent Obama back to come get us. He insulted us. He said, y'all, I was highly offended when he said the only reason we voting for Donald Trump is because we don't want a woman in president, so we come up with, yo, nigga, shut up. Shut up.
Democrats then unleashed Barack Obama into the wild to shame us black men for not supporting Kamala Harris, despite the fact that she's yet to unveil any policies that represent our interests. Why is it okay for Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, and all these other people that supposedly look like me, why is it okay for them to get on TV and shame me for not voting for them simply because they look like me? That shit is racist, brother.
And let's go ahead and pause there. There's something like, I think a lot of people will notice, oh, like some of these responses, they're funny, oh, biscuit head ass, Slender Man looking at, ain't did a motherfucking thing, Obama, whatever. Behind the slang and all that, whatever, It's perception. They can understand exactly what's happening. Everybody understands what's happening. And the Democrats have this thing of like, oh, if we just use a little bit of AAVE, they must be so dumb that if we sound like them, you know, they're just gonna vote for us. They're gonna head over to the ballot box and just support the black person that sounds just like them. And it's because they perceive black people as being dumb. I cannot stress it enough. While they're accusing conservatives of being racist, while they're accusing black people who leave the Democratic Party of being Uncle Toms or race traitors or coons and this, that, and the third, what they really think is that you are stupid. And they get upset when the reality is that you're not stupid enough to fall for their tricks. And that's why we're getting these videos. And this is like the likes of which we've never seen in a very long time. I think it's going to be astounding for some how many black people show up and support Donald Trump in the face of Kamala Harris. We'll keep watching.
Barack Hussein Obama, the audacity of you to say to us that we are required and we better vote for Kamala Harris and that we don't want to see a woman in a position of power. You're a liar.
This message is for President Obama. First and foremost, you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. Number one, I ain't going to vote for Kamala Harris. I think that she's going to make a bad president. She's a bad vice president. Everything she does, she tries to politicize it, and she hasn't shown the fact that she wants to put America first ever. So I'm not voting for that individual. Secondly, I think that it's really sad that you would come out against black men and actually degrade them because they're not picking the person that you want them to vote for.
You all brought up Barack Obama to try to get us black men back to the demonic Democratic Party. Behalf of all the men who are educated, who have learned their lesson, and was burned by the Democratic Party, we want nothing to do with the Democratic Party. We stand with Donald J. Trump.
There you go. Enough said. Enough said. And that's what happens. And I like that these videos are like coming together and giving a compilation of things, because I'm truly convinced that a lot of people on the left view black people as a monolith. And of course, there are outliers to that monolith. And when people step out, they just get attacked. You know, the same thing as I said before, coon, Uncle Tom, race traitor. But to see all these different black people with all their different reasons why they're not going to be supporting Kamala Harris and why they're calling out, you know, Barack Obama for trying to not only come out and pander to them, but actually accuse them of misogyny through his pandering is crazy. And he expects, because he looks like them, because a lot of people voted for him in his first and second presidential term, because he was black, that he can just lean on that trick over and over again. But people are waking up and they're realizing it. And we're not going to actually play this clip from CNN. I just want to read you what it says. That CNN admits that Trump is doing the best with black voters of any Republican since the 60s. And it's not just because of black men. Their polls also show that Kamala is winning less black female votes than any Democrat since the 1960s. It's almost like your platform can't exist entirely on the basis of you being a woman and you being black. And even that's being called into question. And for a long time, you thought that's what you could do. And now you're learning it's not the case, because people are actually being impacted by the things that you endorsed. People can actually go back and look at videos from you 6 months ago versus now, telling lies, switching your narrative, flip-flopping on how you feel about different things. You go on the debate stage and you tell people you feel a certain way, you're going to do this for the American people. They have aspirations and dreams unburdened by what has been. And then the next day, you flip back on yourself and start telling the same old tired shit you said before. So, and she tries this trick with Trump to say, you know, people are tired of Trump. He's like, he's like an old record that just keeps replaying over and over again. People are tired of this same narrative, this old white man or whatever. Kamala, you're part of the same narrative. You are existing as an extension of the apparatus that we have lived in for goodness knows how long, and people are finally starting to realize it. This is the same like sort of ideology from like the 1960s and 70s, where if we sort of pander to black people and tell them that we're going to help them and we're going to give them more rights, they'll just hand over their rights to us. They will hand over their support to us. You are the tired old record that keeps replaying. You are an extension of of, everything that was and needs to be, unburdened by what has been, or whatever the hell she says. I'm so tired of her. But I'm just glad people are realizing this, and they heard Obama and said, absolutely not. This is not going to work again.
Yeah, first of all, I just got to say, Black people are really good at the whole insult game. We were talking about that a little bit before the show, but my goodness, was that a brutal compilation. But I just wanted to add, there's some New York Times polling data of Black men, Black people in general, and Black men in particular. They have gone down in support of Democrats. 2016, 92%; 2020, 90%; 2024, 78%. And some of those eloquent commentators that we just watched were talking about how they're being summoned back to the Democrat plantation. And what a tell that, okay, our support has dwindled from 90% of this demographic, and nothing less than that is acceptable. So now we have to go back out there and corral everyone back there because we must have this monolith. I mean, you're still talking about 78% support of Black people in favor of Democrats. And yet just the dwindling of going from 90 something to 78 is enough to, summon the alarm bells. What is so delicious about this time is that, Barack Obama's has the effect worn off? Has the appeal kind of dwindled? Has the reality of not being able to afford your groceries, being priced out of your own home, not having safe neighborhoods, having 10 million illegal immigrants being brought into the country that are competing for jobs and deflating your wages, is that enough to snap the spell that has been Barack Obama? It's so interesting this time because he has this sort of air about him, this confident air. Like you said, the media is so good at making him this larger than life cultural iconic figure who's just got this aura. And in that clip, it did really come off that way. And by judging by the response, it certainly appears that he's lost a little bit of his charm. And, when reality is slapping you in the face with the consequences of bad policies, then of course you're going to do that. And the last thing, while you were talking, I was thinking about how, we've reacted to The Acolyte on this channel, and I've talked about Rings of Power and how these studios are making these shows that are just objectively bad, and then they trot them out there, and because they're full of diversity and they have the right LGBTQ themes and they check all those boxes that they're required to check, you're expected to like them and celebrate them no matter what. And if you criticize the show on the merits of the show, not even because of those things, they call you racist, they call you xenophobic, they call you misogynist, they call you transphobic, or whatever it may be. In reality, you just made a crappy show that deserves criticism. And in the same way, you nominated somebody who's incompetent, who has an atrociously extreme liberal record, who has very little in the way of accomplishments in her career, and has everybody kind of knows has ascended the ladder due to her sex and her race in large part. And so, don't gaslight me. Don't come at me and call me misogynist. I love what these guys are saying. Don't come for me over this. I'm just recognizing that you guys nominated a bad candidate. That's not on me. That's on you.
Right. And it has nothing to do with her being a woman. It's the fact that she's an incompetent woman, and she got her status through less than wholesome means. And I think we're all aware of that at this point. And this trick goes so far back. They laid the groundwork with talking about slavery. They laid the groundwork with talking about Jim Crow. These are periods and eras of time that you will hear so much about within the Black community. And it's not because we're conservative and we don't want to talk about it happening. We can talk about these periods of time happening and taking place and how they've affected Black people, how they continue to impact Black people. But what they're doing is something very sinister. They lay the groundwork with talking about that history, and then they start talking about affirmative action. We need to see Black people in higher positions. We need to put them in positions of power. Never mind what Black person it is. Don't ask that question. We just need to see Black people in positions of power. So let's roll out Obama. And now that we've laid the groundwork with teaching you about your own victimhood, talking about how you've been held down by this country, that this country is fundamentally racist, you are just going to vote for whatever candidate we put in front of you because the skin color matches yours. And we've already laid the groundwork of you viewing yourself as a victim and having this inherent need to have Black people in positions of power, even though they don't have the proper skills to be in that position of power. And I think people are realizing that's not going to work anymore. That sure, I want to see Black people succeed in the same way that I want to see all Americans succeed. You can't just throw any Black person in front of me who we know is an empty suit puppet for this establishment and for your own ideology and expect us to support them because Black, because woman, because minority, the victimhood thing goes so deep, and that's why they try so hard to convince you that you are a victim. And even leftists are realizing that what Obama did was not the right move. Here's a clip from CNN.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, right now the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio as he did twice, but to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem too. Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from black women.
There you go. So even from through the lens of leftism, this was a bad move in a lot of ways, because you've heard as Kamala Harris is running and they say we need to mobilize, black women and black men, and we're going to do a black women for Kamala Zoom call. You saw a lot of leftist black women saying, it is not our job to carry this election. It is not our job to change the country once again or whatever. So from whatever way you cut this cake, Barack Obama did the wrong thing in going and trying to single out black male voters, and it is backfiring on him tremendously. I've also seen him going out and giving speeches for the Harris Walls campaign, and you got people in the crowd that are screaming F Joe Biden at Obama, so much so that he was not capable of speaking. He had to stop on multiple occasions and sort of yell at the crowd to calm down, and they would not let him speak, which is not normal for Barack Obama. He is used to going out there and being praised and cheered on, and people are hooping and hollering for Barack Obama, but people are realizing something is afoot, okay? Something's going on. We're being bamboozled, hoodwinked, okay, by the entire establishment when it comes to this election cycle. Now, we're not just going to focus on black men in today's episode, because Obama's already been flamed with his biscuit head ass. Okay, we can move on. And yes, as Taylor said, nobody insults people like black people and gay people. Honestly, if you want to get flamed, I'm talking low blows, something that hits you right in the chest. Have a black person or a gay person insult you, because they will find some part of yourself that you have never seen. But Kamala Harris, and I guess, many others who are supporting her and her campaign, want men to get out to vote. And men, of course, are showing up more conservatively in our society. That's the way things go. Women tend to trend towards the left. Men tend to trend towards the right. Now, this was an ad that was made independent of the Harris Walls campaign, but some men came together and said, we got to get men out to vote for Kamala. How are we going to do it? We're going to make this ad. Let's watch.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast. I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
Woo! I'm man enough to tell you these men get no bitches. I'm joking. A joke, of course. I'm sure these men are married. I'm sure they have wives. I'm sure they braid their daughter's hair. I'm sure that's great. I'm man enough to tell you this was probably not written by a man, to be honest. I'm listening to this and I'm hearing a lot of feminine sensibilities when I'm listening to this. Now, of course, people looked into this ad. It started going super viral because it's super cringe. It doesn't speak to masculinity, I think, in any way, shape, or form. If as a woman I'm listening to this and I'm thinking this does not sound at all masculine, it doesn't sound at all like it's going to appeal to men, I can't imagine what men must be thinking. And of course, these guys are all actors. Here's some info. People want to look them up. One of these guys is a far left pro-Antifa comedian. You have a gay man who's playing one of these characters. They're all like left-leaning actors who were hired to take on these roles and essentially cosplay masculine men. They thought maybe we can buy some flannels, some cowboy hats, we can put them in a field, put them near some cars, and that's gonna really speak to men. It's gonna get them to man up. But I can't imagine this has attracted even a single voter. I don't know that a single man watched this video and was like, hell yeah, brother. I'm gonna go vote for Kamala Harris because these men cosplayed rural masculinity for me and told me that I shouldn't be afraid of women. And here's what the left so often does, and I don't even think they're realizing that they're doing it. In an effort to get people out to vote, they insult them and they sort of take a stab at their moral compass and their character. So Barack Obama has to go out and talk to black men, and instead of saying, hey, what's up, black men? I used to be a public servant to you. You guys are my constituents. What problems are you visualizing right now in our current society that is making you not want to vote for Kamala Harris? He can't do that. That would be the humble thing to do. That would be the public servant thing to do. That would be the presidential thing to do. Instead, he has to go out there and say, it's your fault. You're a misogynist. You must hate women. And it's the same thing you're getting from this ad. Instead of speaking to men and saying, you know what? I think Kamala Harris can appeal to your masculinity. I don't think she's going to infringe on any part of your life that you want to lead. I don't think she's going to infringe on your relationship with women or the different laws that you want written or legislation that you don't want pushed forward. Instead, they go, you must hate women. And you won't braid your daughter's hair, and you're not capable of talking about your feelings, and you don't know it's healthy to cry, and you're just not a real man. I'm a real man who's in touch with my feminine side. Okay. As we all know, insulting people often gets them to do exactly what you want them to do. Taylor, when you saw this ad, did you want to man up and vote for Harris Walls?
Yeah, it inspired me to be man enough to put tampons in the boys' bathroom
exactly.
and to let my wife have a boyfriend. But no, this definitely comes across as just fake. And I think that's the biggest byline for me is that, like you said, they're kind of cosplaying masculinity. And, for all his flaws, at least when you hear from Trump, you're getting Trump, you're getting the real thing.
Yeah.
And there's no apologizing for anything. I think that's a lot of this too. It's they inherently resent the things that are naturally kind of masculine, and we all know, and there's a grain of truth and truth to the fact that yes, men should be able to show their emotions. Okay, so at this point, I feel like we're almost maybe swung too far with that narrative, and men need to be a little less emotional. But I digress. But they treat the masculine tendency to kind of push emotions down so that you're better equipped to deal with, confront issues that face in life or whatever it may be, to take the lead, to stand up, to fight, to face the threat that's coming. That's kind of why there is that masculine trait and the resentment of masculinity of itself, of traditional masculinity of itself, of biological masculinity itself. It is kind of the undertone there. And there's this I hate that, and I'm apologizing for it. And that's what a real man does. And it's just not appealing. It doesn't ring true. True masculinity. I think, we can talk about Trump and how he's rough around the edges, and he has a little bit, maybe comes over too strong, and that's probably why he's struggling with female voters. But we talked about it with JD Vance's debate performance. I think he really embodied what masculinity should be, which is, yes, be hyper competent, be strong, be uncompromising, but also be gracious, be meek, have the sword, but keep it sheathed, have the ability to, drop the hammer, but show restraint and show the ability to demonstrate a little bit of compassion, demonstrate a little bit of just being able to have that strength and not come down like a hammer. I think that's what real masculinity is about. And these guys are like, don't be strong, apologize, just pander to the needs of other people, care more about what other people think of you, and try to fit that mold instead of just unapologetically being yourself. And then with that, having this, add the sensitivity on top of that. Instead, they're like replacing who you are with this faux sensitivity, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and you can see this sort of play out between these two campaigns, as you said. With Harris-Walz, I mean, Kamala is an interesting mix of not having a lot of femininity to her. She doesn't have like a motherly sort of bone in her body. She doesn't come off as warm or nurturing in that sort of feminine way, but she also can't appeal to men. So she's trying to lean on other people to do that work for her, which is why she's rolling out Obama. She's rolling out celebrities, which we're going to get to in a little bit. And then she's trying to sort of hype up Walz as a more masculine, hokey dad type figure. He's trying to fix cars. They're taking him out, like duck or pheasant hunting or something like that, and he can't even get the gun in like proper functioning form in order to do it. And there's all these videos of him just sort of awkwardly handling himself, and they're coming off as fake. Meanwhile, with the Trump and Vance campaign, you have these two men who are in their masculine, whether you like it or not, whether it's abrasive or not, they're in their masculine. So they're already appealing to men, and where they need to soften for women and talk to them in a way that women can grasp and sort of lean on that more emotional side, Trump, he can sort of get there, but Vance is really in the strong suit on that. And where he really shined is in that debate, like Taylor said, when he was asked about abortion, a very strong issue for a lot of women. Vance looked straight at the camera and said, I want women to trust me again. I want to start building trust with women. And if women are saying they want this, that's what I want to listen to. That's appealing to the feminine while also remaining in this leadership position of I will guide the way towards what you want. I just need you to trust me. The Harris-Walz campaign is not capable of that, yet they're trying to get men out, okay? Now they're rolling out Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad, thinking, I don't know if you guys see Heisenberg, I am the one who knocks. Okay?
Say my name.
Yeah. That maybe you'll open the door when those Harris-Walz, register to vote people come knocking at your door. But I don't think so. Let's hear from Bryan Cranston, though.
I am not a politician. I am not a doctor or a lawyer, but I played all of those on television. But I am a father of a daughter, and it's important to me for her life now and for the future and other fathers' daughters to be able to have within their lifetime the fundamental right of freedom of choice. There should not be anyone but them deciding what happens to their own body.
That's interesting, Bryan. Should your daughter be able to decide whether or not a fully grown man can go into her bathroom? Should your daughter be able to decide whether or not her naked body should be seen by a grown man who's going into her locker room or is playing on the same sports team as her, masquerading as a woman? Should your daughter be able to decide whether or not she's body slammed out on the field if she's playing a sport by a grown man? Should your daughter be able to decide whether or not Title IX grants extensions of these rights that have been rewarded to women and these privileges given to women, whether or not they should be extended to transgender individuals? Does your daughter have the right to decide what even a woman is, given that she is one? These are all things that Kamala Harris doesn't really seem to care about, but she wants your daughter to be able to abort her child if she wants to. And if you go and look at the Trump-Vance campaign, you'll find very similar sentiments on their side of things as well. And they're moving in that direction anyways. So they're sort of sticking on this issue of reproductive freedom because it's literally the only thing they have going for them when it comes to women. They are doing nothing else for women whatsoever. What about the drug crisis that is impacting women? What about the fact that drug crisis is being fueled by what's happening at our southern border? What about the young women that are being brutalized, raped, and murdered by illegal immigrants that have been allowed to enter this country because of Kamala Harris's policies? These are all things that deeply impact women. But just like they are with black people, they think women are so stupid that it's like, oh, I can't abort my baby. This is the biggest issue that will ever impact me, that will ever impact my generation for decades to come. I need to vote for whoever is on the left because of this single issue. Even though the economy is going to shit, the border is going to shit, we have no money. People are taking your jobs. We're outsourcing our manufacturing, our technology to other countries. We are being laughed at on the world stage with people who are our enemies. We are the laughing stocks. People are actively looking at the US and just waiting as we bring about our own demise. But that doesn't impact women. Just repro rights impacts women. Planned Parenthood impacts women. They think you're dumb. We're gonna move on though. It's not just Bryan Cranston. Here's Julia Roberts.
I just hope that all the women here tonight talk to all the men that aren't here tonight. And all you brave men that are here tonight, talk to all the other men that aren't here tonight. And let's just get it going. Enough with the fighting. Let's get to the uniting. Let's get to the joy. Let's get to the repair. Let's get to prices dropping, rents dropping. Let's get to the good stuff so we can start living our lives to the fullest potential that we have.
When are the prices going to drop? Julia, when is that happening? Like, at what point? What change are we getting to when you were just reinstating the same person who has led to the problems that we're experiencing now? Let's get to the joy, though, right? Let's get to that nervous cackle that Kamala does every time she's literally lying her ass off. That's the joy that she's referring to, by the way. And even though you're going to be allowing the same person who has said on one occasion she wants to change things that Joe Biden has done, but said on The View recently that she wouldn't change anything that Joe Biden has done in the past 3.5, 4 years. Let's bring about the change, though. And she refers to the men who are in this crowd as brave. What's brave about going to a Harris Walls rally? What at all is brave? Are they going to get their ass beat for being there? Absolutely. There's nothing brave about it. And they try to package themselves in these like bold words that make people feel so good. And the reality is that when you strip away those words, they don't mean a lot. In fact, a lot of them are harmful. Their policies are harmful. They're not helping you whatsoever. But it's not just, Julia Roberts and Bryan Cranston. We also have Jennifer Garner.
Listen, I know you've knocked and knocked, and I know you've called and called. I know you've given and given, and you're worn out. But the truth is, you are the front lines. This is it. I mean, I'm looking at these beautiful faces, these women, and these strong men. God, is there anything sexier than a man who is like men for Kamala? But you are the front line of this battle, for lack of a better word. It really is. There are two ways forward, and you guys are going to have a huge voice in how that way is chosen. Listen.
Please. Now, what is the strategy here? Are you hoping that men are like, oh yeah, she was so hot in that 90s, early 2000s rom-com, and she said it's sexy if I vote for Harris Walls. Maybe I'll get an opportunity to be with Jennifer Garner. She said it's so sexy. And they're trying to appeal to men in ways that to be honest, it just, in my view, simply don't work. In my very limited view of masculinity, and my very limited understanding of the male brain, I can't see this landing. Julia Roberts calling you brave, Jennifer Garner calling you sexy, and Bryan Cranston saying you want your daughter to be able to abort her child. Really putting out a strong case for men voting for Harris Walls.
Yeah, listening to all this, it's like all they have is fear-mongering about abortion, fear-mongering about Project 2025, identity politics, vote for her because she's a woman or because she's black, half Indian, whatever, and vibes, it's vibes. And Jennifer Garner's like, I was driven all the way here from my mansion to tell you guys to go back out there and knock on doors and vote. It rings so hollow. Obama's comments to black men, it's like they feel entitled to the power that comes with the winning elections, and everybody is just part of their cogs in the machine to bring them to power, keep them in power, and that's the long and short of it. It shows up. They disguise it as well as they can in this rhetoric. But at the end of the day, there's so little substance. They can't lay out the case for you of why, based on the merits, you should vote for our candidate that we're all organized around, because here are the tangible ways in which your life is going to improve. Instead, they have to distract from the fact that your life has demonstrably gotten worse under their leadership and under them being in power. And then they have to gaslight and fearmonger to distract you from that and try to get your vote again based on things that have nothing to do with the actual issues that you're facing right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the theme of today is people are living in reality, and I don't think they're really buying this.
Yeah, they boogeyman repro rights, they boogeyman sexism and misogyny, they boogeyman racism. Meanwhile, if you look at a clip of a Trump rally, he's talking about how he wants to do mass deportations and get rid of people who are in this country illegally who are committing crimes. He's saying if people enter this country illegally, they commit a crime, he wants to put them in prison for 10 years, give the death penalty to people who come in this country and take the lives of our fellow Americans, as we've seen happen many times now. He's inviting the families of people who are impacted by this. He had the family of Lake and Riley at his rally. He spoke to the family of Jocelyn Nungary, a 12-year-old girl who was effectively slaughtered by illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is rolling out the family of Amber Thurman and lying about her abortion case and lying about her death in order to mobilize women to vote because of repro rights. The difference is just so drastic. It's so stark, and you can just watch it play out in every way, shape, and form as these four individuals are out on the campaign trail. Now we're going to move on. JD Vance has actually been going viral, and he went viral because he spent some time on ABC going back and forth about what's happening with illegal immigration in this country. My dog wants to howl. Love that. There are Venezuelan gangs that are actually taking over apartment complexes here in the United States of America. A Venezuelan gang can roll up to your apartment complex where you might be sitting right now watching this show, guns a-blazing, force you out of your home or force you to be stuck in your home, and we just put our hands up and say, it's not happening. Or if it is happening, it's just a few apartment complexes. Let's watch the clip.
The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border? Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
Yeah, and you can hear she's flailing in the background trying to interrupt him to get back in there. And she actually ends this clip by interrupting him and saying, well, just for the record, it's only a few apartment complexes. And JD Vance goes, yeah, only a few apartment complexes taken over by Venezuelan gangs. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that way. We greatly appreciate that you're willing to say that live on air. It's just so crazy. It shows you that you do not hate the media enough. With all of the stuff that is impacting you on a day-to-day basis, they're focusing on what? Calling Trump a racist, a sexist, saying that he's trying to attack women. They're going after JD Vance for making comments about childless cat ladies, as if that's at all important to how you're living your daily life as an American. And when you have actual American people being impacted by literal gangs taking over their apartment, it's hard to put into perspective because it's difficult to imagine because we've led lives of general comfort for quite some time. General comfort. If you are living in your home right now, imagine you get a knock at your door. You go and answer that door, and a gang comes into your house and takes the place where you live. I know it's hard to fathom. But it is happening right now as we speak. And of course we have proof of this. We want to substantiate this. We don't just want to talk about it. Here are some clips.
See if you can find that story on the Venezuelan gangs taking over the apartment building in Colorado.
We have new information on what we've learned is happening inside an apartment complex. This video shows armed men walking through a building, knocking on doors, then entering an apartment. The apartment complex is at 12th and Dallas and Aurora.
In doing so, have taken over several apartment complexes.
Venezuelan gangs are taking over the real estate. They're becoming real estate developers. And they have...
Do they get little cards?
Their little card is a bullet.
Yes!
Kamala Harris will work to deliver on that and secure the border.
Who's to blame? Carousel, if you will, continues. The city says the property management team is simply not doing enough to help these residents. In an interview with that property management team last week, they say that building is actually being controlled by a certain gang, and they feel helpless. There's nothing they can do about it.
They've, in fact, have kind of pushed out the property management through intimidation and then collected the rents. And the arrests have been made, but these operations are still ongoing.
See if you can find that.
It's fucking insane, guys. That's crazy. It's crazy. And it's so much more than this. It's taking over the apartment complexes. It's threatening people's lives. It's robbing people. It's looting stores. They're doing organized crimes where they're going in and breaking and entering into people's households. They're stealing cell phones from people. They are killing people. They are raping people. And Kamala Harris and a lot of leftists will respond to this by saying, American citizens commit crimes too. 100% of these crimes are preventable by not allowing these people past the border. She goes on 60 Minutes. She does an interview. The interviewer asks her, during your time in this administration, the rate of illegal immigration into this country actually quadrupled. What do you have to say about that? She says, you know what? We're working to fix the problem. The thing is, we're working to fix the problem, and that's what matters. Okay, even if you fix the problem, and let's say you slow down the rate of illegal immigration at our border to a rate that which we've never seen before. It's so low. What about the millions of people that came into the country while you weren't working on the issue? In fact, you were actively working to make the issue worse. What about those people? What are you going to do about them? But she can't even utter the word mass deportation because she'll get accused of xenophobia, Islamophobia, hating immigrants, not wanting people to be able to live the American dream. The ideology is so tainted. It is so rank. And you know what it leads to? American lives being lost. It leads to people being holed up in their apartments by Venezuelan gangs. And here's another video. So you can see a woman who's actually been personally impacted by this.
The topic, but now there's video and victims they can't deny.
It's really like being held hostage.
Cindy was a prisoner in her own home. She's lived in this building at 12th and Dallas for years. This summer, when crime got worse, Cindy got cameras. Doorbell video shows a group of armed men forcing their way into her neighbor's home. Another night, her camera outside captured two men approaching a vehicle, guns drawn. She's called 911 so often, they know her by name.
He said, ever considered leaving? If I could afford to leave, I wouldn't be there.
She says neighbors fall asleep to gunfire. Her car still damaged from an overnight shootout.
This is a bullet hole.
It was one of the few times Aurora police responded.
They will call me and say, I'm sorry, but we're not coming. We're not coming until it's a bad enough crime.
On the topic, but now
we're not coming until it's a bad enough crime. We have personal experience of this. Taylor used to live in LA. I live in LA now. You call the police and let them know you have a problem. And they say, oh, well, not a big enough problem. We have other things to deal with. We have much bigger fires to put out at this moment. And that's what people are experiencing all across the United States now. Brought to you by Kamala Harris. And we can extend that if we want a good old Harris Walls administration before us. I'm seeing a lot of people saying she's going to win this election. I think Bill Maher even said, there's no question she's going to win this election. I don't know what to expect if that's the case. I don't know. I'm seeing so much support of Donald Trump. I'm seeing so much people waking up that I'm like, I just hope that these people are mobilized enough to show up and show out when it comes time to vote, because this is how you're going to be impacted. These are the stories that we're going to continue to hear about. And even in a Trump presidency, you're going to continue to hear these stories because there's millions of illegal immigrants already in the country. Do you know how much work it takes to roll that back, to find people, to get them out, especially especially after their government, your government, has paid with your tax dollars to disperse them all over the United States of America. By train, by bus, by plane, by car. They are literally everywhere. And of course, not all of them are criminals, but clearly a lot of them are. So how long do you think it's going to take to do the work, to take care of this issue? I'll let y'all marinate on that. That's what I'm going to be marinating on. I have to figure out. I got to figure, you know what? I need to stay strapped. I need my blicky on the dresser because this is not going to work for me. It's not gonna, if a Venezuelan gang shows up at my door, I'm not going to go down not fighting, you know? You're not going to lock me up in my apartment. If I'm getting got, you're getting got first. We're all going to die.
It was crazy too. The management company of this apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, posted this thread with these videos, but they also substantiate a lot of what's been going on. They said the gang members even are basically blackmailing them, saying like, if you want your apartment complex back, you need to give us 50% of the profits that are coming in to that. And if you don't, then we're going to take the whole thing over. They sent death threats to the manager and threatened, like they showed, we know what your wife's name is, we know where she lives. They're calling him racial slurs and all kinds of things like that. So the fact that this is happening under our noses in the United States of America is insane. And this is not the first thing. We looked at Springfield, Ohio. We have the death of Lake and Riley. How many more examples do we need before we've hit critical mass? And I think you're right to frame this as like, this is really a test. This is really a test of, does the Democrat media, Hollywood elite establishment have enough influence, have enough sway to gaslight the American people enough to maintain their grip on the levers of power? And right now they are desperately flailing, trying everything that they can we just saw Kamala whipped out the, Donald Trump's health is in question now. He won't take health tests or something, when it's like, dude, 5 seconds ago, you were covering for Joe Biden, laughing at the idea that he might not be fit for his office. And you're the one who is now his replacement candidate, even though that implies that you abdicated your vice presidential duty to invoke the 25th Amendment. So, give me a freaking break with that line of attack. But it just shows kind of how desperate they are. And it really is. It seems to be this is a war between that like establishment and the people, and people who are genuinely suffering under this economy, who are genuinely having migrants come into their communities and competing for jobs and depressing their wages and making car insurance go up and threatening public safety and cutting the heads off of swan or geese in the parks. And I mean, it sounds so absurd when you start stacking all this stuff up, but that is the world that we're living in. That's the world that has been ushered in by this establishment. And yeah, you're right. If we somehow end up allowing them to be reelected, what does that even look like? It's confounding to me that the polls are even as close as they are. The momentum does seem to be on the side of Trump right now. But after what happened in 2020, you're like, I don't trust polls. I don't trust our process right now. It's very difficult to trust our institutions and everything that's going on. So where will this go? Will the people win out? Will the establishment win out? I guess it remains to be seen. But my goodness, if this stuff doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be more coming out about the Harris Walls campaign, and very soon. We've already seen stories of plagiarism be broken today, which we might talk about later on in the week. Shout out to Chris Rufo for finding out that Kamala Harris's book is heavily plagiarized, even plagiarized from Wikipedia. I mean, we should have known that. She can't speak without a teleprompter. She doesn't know what to say if not told what to say. So I imagine it would be the very same if she were to write a book. So there we are. There are some absolutely insane allegations coming out about Tim Walz and maybe his past, some sexual assault allegations coming out about him. The only reason we're not speaking about that on the show today is that we don't have much evidence in this case. So I don't want to go out and accuse Tim Walz of having done something that he hasn't done. We're going to wait for that story to play out. There are people already looking into it, investigating, trying to substantiate some of the stories that they're hearing. And we will wait for that to take place before we come out and say anything about Tim Walz, because there's already plenty enough to say without him having done anything in his past. His present, we can be critical enough. He is not fit to lead. He's not fit to be vice president. Guys, I've been speaking Japanese a very long time. We're going to hear from you guys. We're going to get into your super chats.
All right, yeah, fellow knuckleheads.
Yes, knuckleheads.
Let's see what you guys have to say today.
Yeah.
Legitly Spelunking was our first super chatter. He says, did you hear they arrested a guy on the way to a Trump rally? Multiple passports, guns, ammo, in an unregistered car. Clearly dangerous, but already out on bail.
I did hear that, and it looks like it could have been another attempt on his life, although I haven't seen that confirmed just yet. That's crazy, but this is what we've been revving ourselves up to. I mean, it's crazy, but it's not surprising.
Yeah, so that was such a weird story too, because at first it was being widely reported that this is another assassination attempt, and then other people, like include the guy himself, made a video. Mindy Robertson, who's a conservative influencer, made a video saying, "I know this guy. He wasn't trying to do anything bad. It was the guy said he like disclosed to an officer voluntarily that he had guns in his trunk or something, and then that turned into this. But the details aren't very clear. But yeah,
Right.
I mean, just add it to the salad of absolute insanity this election cycle. I think it's funny, like we didn't even get to what might have been another assassination attempt on the show today, just because there's so many things going on.
Yeah.
VV Webster says, happy Monday, beautiful people. What's something that made you smile recently?
I went and saw this new movie that came out by A24. It's called We Live in Time, starring Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, and their chemistry is chef's kiss. It was 10 out of 10. Loved the film. Had a good time. I love going to the movies, so I smiled for that. That was good.
And I smiled when my LSU Tigers won in overtime this weekend against Ole Miss. It was one of our biggest games of the season, and we barely pulled it off. So that made me happy.
Nice.
Kevin, the software tester, says, grew up like you. That's a bit racist.
Yeah, it's like, okay, who says who? Says how in any way? She's an individual.
You guys know how you moved to Toronto with your Indian mom?
Right. What?
Your high school years there.
She grew up like herself. I don't know what you're talking about comparing her to anybody else. That's crazy work. Crazy work.
It's wild, man. Chicken Pork Adobo says, Obama's video screams, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or for Trump, then you ain't black.
Yep.
Happy Tuesday.
That's exactly what it is. He's going, isn't it obvious that you should vote for her? Same thing. You ain't black. 100%.
Timothy W says, I'm going to watch the live a bit later, but I hope y'all are doing good. I've got a hot date with my bed that I can't miss.
Nice.
Hashtag make siestas great again.
You know, sometimes it is good to just get in bed and snooze away. I'm a snoozer myself. I'm trying to keep it during the night hours. Okay, no siestas for me. But
yeah, I've never been able to nap really. Like I can't tell you last time I took a nap.
Dude, I wake up and I'm like, it's like somebody's knocked you out after you take a nap. It's like not worth it. Your whole day, for me, my whole day is ruined if I take a nap. It's over.
Here. Diva Dawn says, I hope you both had an amazing weekend. I am glad black voters are finally seeing how libs condescend to them.
Yes, the trick is not working anymore. You can't pull the wool over our eyes anymore. We're tired of it. Biscuit head ass. I'm gonna use that for the rest of my life. Biscuit head ass.
Oh my gosh. No mercy. Minnesota Nice says, hey there, A and Tay. Glad to see you are feeling better. So Amala for $1. Name a skin color and you better not say yellow. That clip was too funny.
Yarrow. I'm saying yarrow. Very different
Did
than
I miss
yellow.
that one?
Reese and I made a TikTok this weekend. We're just having
your
fun.
story. That's
it's
right.
It's on my TikTok page. You guys can check it out.
I do not get TikTok humor. I mean, I'm just out of the loop.
That's
on
too funny.
All these
you gotta get it. You gotta get in there, Taylor.
Like there was all that outrage about the Dorito being fed to the girl or whatever.
Gosh, dumb.
But it's like a TikTok trend.
Yes, everybody's going. What's her name? Gretchen Whitmer. And all these Catholics were like, she's making fun of Catholic communion by feeding this girl Dorito. I'm like, this is a TikTok trend and it has nothing to do with Catholic communion. You guys are reading into this. That's pretty dramatic. That's crazy. It's just one of those TikTok trends. You guys have probably seen it if you're on TikTok, where like this girl's like eating something kind of sexually and it pans over and it's like the fast food worker who's feeding her the fry or something like that. It's supposed to be a joke of like, oh, it's so shocking the person who's actually feeding this individual. But all these Catholics were like, you're making fun of communion.
That's what it felt like to me. It felt like this just feels really inappropriate and I don't get the context. But that makes sense as part of a trend that's built around that joke.
Right.
Oh dear. Minnesota Nice Again says 2 questions. Is it a red flag if a girl likes Halloween? Second, what are some telltale signs that a girl just likes your attention but not you?
I would say no, it's not a red flag if a girl likes Halloween. I love Halloween. I will dress up probably on the show for Halloween. We'll figure that out. I don't know what I'm doing for that. But yeah, spooky season is nice. It's my favorite time of year. No red flag there. You're a Halloween fan, Taylor.
Yeah, I'm a huge Halloween fan. We got our house decorated and redecorated. We're going to have a Halloween party that's themed around Harry Potter this year. So
yeah,
real exciting times. Telltale signs that a girl just likes your attention, but not you. I would say initiation and reciprocation. If she's not initiating communication with you, then she'll receive your attention, but not, initiate and give you any attention. And then if she's not reciprocating and showing as much enthusiasm to be in conversations with you, or to try to hang out with you or get together or make plans, then she may be happy receiving your attention, but she's not into you.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to look for reciprocity, my dude. Listen to some Lauryn Hill. Now, I noticed this in Love is Blind. I always love watching the Love is Blind reveals after the couples. For those of you who have not seen Love is Blind, these couples talk to each other behind a wall. They get engaged behind a wall, and then they get to see each other for the first time. And you can immediately tell that love is not, in fact, blind. Love very much can see. In fact, love has 20/20 vision. And these girls come out and meet these guys, or the guys are not attracted to the girls, and you can immediately see the lack of reciprocity. You'll have one person being like, "You're so gorgeous, you're so hot," or whatever. We saw it with Leo and Brittany this season. And Brittany's like, "Thanks, appreciate it." Like, could not be bothered to even utter a compliment back. So if you're feeling that sort of energy from somebody that you're dating, be it guy or girl, they're probably into the attention and not into you so much.
Oof. That was this season's Jimmy and Chelsea.
Oh, there's a ton of Jimmy and Chelsea's going on this season.
Oh,
to be honest.
Yeah. Ray just sends a super chat, no message. Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Veronica says, imagine if JD went out to tell white men to vote for Trump, because he's male and he's white. Just imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't.
That is good, Jeff.
It wouldn't land as well, would it?
No, but that does show how absurd their whole pitch is, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up like you, which is funny because JD Vance actually did grow up like
rural America,
rural white people.
Right.
Yeah, wrote a book about it.
Right.
Sun Sumi says it's not just that she's a politician that would be bad enough, but she is actually really bad at it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's like, okay, you can't be handed everything like on a silver platter and then suck. Like, you have to have something. There has to be at least one part of it. Like, if you're going to be a twisted politician, at least be good at it, maybe? Question mark.
Yeah, like Gavin Newsom, horrible politician in terms of policies, but like he's good. He can put on that suave. He can, he's so slimy. He's got his little slick back Batman villain hair. He can talk his way out of anything.
He literally looks like a villain, a whole ass
100%.
Villain. And yeah, no, at least if you're going to be twisted, at least I respect the hustle from Gavin Newsom.
Lisa Marshall says, hi, Amal and Taylor. I love the channel. I enjoy the videos and appreciate the commentary. I feel like an outsider in my family in terms of politics, and this channel makes me feel like I'm not alone.
Oh, that's so cool. We're glad to give you a space where you feel like you have some like-minded individuals to go back and forth with, or at least listen to. And hopefully you guys are, talking to one another in the chat and chopping it up. And hopefully you can bring some of this stuff to your family and have some interesting conversations. I find that conversations can be much more interesting when the people disagree anyways.
I just pictured you at your Thanksgiving dinner with headphones in the corner watching us on your phone while your family's all talking about how great Kamala is. Which don't do that. Engage.
Don't do that. Engage. Yeah.
Yeah, you can sit with us.
You can.
Glad you're here, Lisa. Well, Chris Parson says, I love women who take care of their own country's problems before they take care of other countries' issues.
Yeah, you would hope. Right? I don't know. Of course, there's crazy things happening all over the world. And when you're in a position in life to help other people, it's great to be charitable and to help other people. But if the problem's existing within your family first, let's maybe get our family set up before we go and help other people out. And that's not to say that those people don't need help and they don't deserve help. It's just to say we got to make a priority list first.
It's like they say on the airplanes, put your own oxygen mask on first, or you can help other folks.
Yep.
don't import 10 million people and give them all the oxygen masks.
We're suffocating.
Yeah. Chris Parse, we just said that. Scott Ward says, yep, I was insulted. Heck, is their campaign all set up as insult?
Yeah, that's all they use is just like bullying. They tell victims they're going to lift them up, and then they tell other people they're going to put them down and that it's their fault. And that's just that's the recipe. That's the plot every single time.
Dog Mama for Life says, I'm a real woman and I just voted early for Common Sense /Trump /Vance.
Hey, good for you. Hopefully it gets there.
Hopefully it gets there. Yeah, early voting isn't necessarily by mail, right? I think you can do by mail, but I think it depends on your state.
Right.
It's like you can go somewhere early and vote.
Yeah.
Hopefully the latter. I don't trust the mail no mo, but
nope.
You know.
Nope.
Like I said on the previous show, I got a notification that my LA county ballot is in the mail somewhere, even though I haven't lived there for 2 years. So
there we go.
Great job to the voter registrators over there.
And I bet there's a white man Harris Walls vote that's in the mail right now in the name of Taylor.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Someone got a hold of it. Be Mad says, I'm sorry, but Obama hasn't played the role that he promised he would when he was elected. He lost all credibility with us.
Yeah. And I just to keep rolling him out, I don't know. It's like a tired pop star that you just keep. Have you seen those Frankie Valli concerts he's been doing recently? Have you seen that?
Who's Frankie Valli?
Hold on. Let me look up if I can get a clip of this. Oh my God. Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what it's like to see Obama out there and doing something. Like, if you don't let that man rest, if you don't send him back to his mansion so he can live out the rest of his days in peace instead of bringing him out to do this at that ripe old age, please. That's how I feel about Obama. It's literally the same thing. They are going to milk Obama that sounded inappropriate, for the rest of his natural life.
But yeah, I mean, does he have much more to give? Watching that, I'm also reminded of the Biden campaign and how they're trotting that poor man out there to give a speech, and he's like,
that's crazy. It is the same.
Otaku69 says, exactly. What they don't get is she isn't the president of women or abortion. She's trying to be the president of America, but no, killing babies is detrimental.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think regardless of who becomes president, I think abortion is going to be legal in most states. So it's just, to me, it does seem like it's on the precipice of really being a non-issue, but they're trying to drum it up as much as they possibly can to make it an issue.
Right, but I think it is a good point that, like, you're not the president of abortion. You're president of the entire country. You're responsible for foreign policy. You're responsible for the economy, all these things. Right. And in context, it makes it silly that you're campaigning on this issue, but they have nothing else going for them. So,
yep.
Sun Sumi says, love the show. You are both so very awesome. Much respect. When I first saw the man ad, I thought it was an SNL skit. I thought Jim Gaffigan was about to approve this message.
Yeah, right. But SNL's been killing it lately. I've been seeing some of their political sketches that they've been doing, and they've been pretty on par with their impersonations. I've been impressed. I could say
that. They actually threw a little shade Kamala's, which is not really shade. It's just like SNL always has like funny political election season parodies. Mm-hmm. And they didn't shy away from it this time. They didn't treat Kamala with kid gloves. They did a Family Feud segment, I think, where she was supposed to name something, and where you would keep in your glove box or something.
A Glock.
And she says, "I grew up in a middle class family," and starts giving a big speech. Like, no, say something you keep in a glove box, and then she says a Glock.
Which who knows if that's even true at this point?
But
sorry guys, ran ahead of him.
Veronica says Kamala is not black at all. Someone's been watching Candace Owens.
Someone's been watching Candace. Oh, well, yeah, we'll see. We'll find out. To be continued, I think, that storyline.
The jury's out. Mariana715 says, out of curiosity, where are men's rights as fathers when it comes to abortion?
Tricky situation. I guess no uterus, no say. Am I right? Am I right, men? Wild.
Kufex says, I wanted to update you guys. I will be on the next 1 Democrat versus 25 Republicans video. Hope you guys react when it's out.
Ooh, of course we will. That is prime ammunition for this channel. So congratulations. I'm glad you're going to be on it. That'll be fun. Hopefully you show up and show out. Okay?
Yeah, come prepared. Don't get emotional.
Yeah.
Stick to the facts. Stay calm.
Be ready.
The facts are on your side. Rachel Taylor says, I was a moderate left, still believe in the basic democratic views, but with what's going on right now, something's got to change. Keep up the good work, A&T.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We always like people who are sort of outside of the typical box of what we talk about, who show up and listen to the show and have something to say. So we appreciate you. That's awesome.
100%. Thank you. St. Hudson says there are hundreds of thousands of missing migrant children who came here on Kamala's bills. That's a problem too.
Yep. Where are they? What's happening to them? There's a lot of, human trafficking taking place. There's a lot of child victimization. There's just victimization all across the board when it comes to what's happening at our border. And I wonder how many people you'd have to mobilize to fix that problem and to go through and comb through America to find these people is it's a big undertaking.
Yeah, we have work to do, which hopefully will start soon.
Mm-hmm.
Account says, hey, Kamala, huge fan. I'm 15, and last year we had Pride Day at school. I didn't wear a rainbow. I got sent to the principal's office and was called a bigot.
That's crazy. Did you get sent to the principal's office because you didn't wear the rainbow, or because somebody called you a bigot and then it started a conflict and then you got sent to the principal's office? That's what I want to know. Don't send me another super chat explaining it.
Yeah.
Maybe drop it in the comments some point after the show and people will upvote it and let me know. But that's nuts. My kid is not, I don't know. I can't send my future child into this school system if it stays in the current state that it's in. I feel for everybody who's in school right now having to deal with this and not being able to be in not necessarily a neutral environment, because school doesn't have to be a neutral environment, but a tolerant environment so that you can be there and get what you need to get done.
Erica Miramontes says, I live in Aurora, Colorado. Not that long ago, a group of Venezuelans tried charging my boyfriend money to park at a Walmart parking lot, SMH.
Yeah, these people are, they're clever. A sneaky people, these Venezuelan gang members. Oh my gosh. That's so scary and intimidating.
That is wild. Yeah. And you hear, like, in that thread, the management company is explaining, like, they say we didn't respond quickly. We called the police immediately and expected them to come in. We expected the FBI to come, the National Guard.
Yeah.
And this has been a story of us doing everything we can and the authorities not responding. So what the hell is keeping us from confronting gangs of Venezuelans who are keeping people from their own homes and hustling people who are going to Walmart? That is
a literal invasion.
Man. Literally. No thanks says, I've enjoyed seeing Kamala's passion coming out of this election cycle. These last few videos, I've seen you the most riled up, and it shows how much you care about our country. # be an Kamala, not a Kamala.
Thanks. Yeah, I always see you guys like doing play on words with Kamala's name, and you're like, she's a scamala or all these different things. I'm like, are you referring to me or are you referring to her? Because at this point, it's getting tricky. I appreciate it, guys. I've wanted for a very long time to stay away from like endorsements on this channel. I didn't want to get into talking about particular political candidates and saying this, that, and the third about, who people are voting for and how it impacts us. But this one, I just could not. We're at a point now where it's just like, if you wipe your hands of this and step away with what I talk about on this channel, it just doesn't make sense. So yes, right. I have a lot to say about what's currently going on.
Yeah, we used to not be allowed to talk about politics because we were with a nonprofit, but since going independent, we really didn't change that. We were like, we don't care about politics. We don't want to talk about it that much, but it's just the nature of this election cycle and everything. It's almost impossible to talk about anything else when you're in the cultural conversations that we typically participate in. So it's inevitable, but I'm here for it. Glad you guys are vibing.
Definitely.
Kay says, hey guys, I always listen to / watch the podcast while working, LOL. So thanks for getting me through the day.
Hey.
I'll rewatch this one tomorrow.
Love that. We love to help you guys get through your days a little bit easier, and hopefully we entertain you or you learn something, whatever the case may be, or maybe you just like hanging out.
Amaya J. Tiazone says, appreciate you both. You guys keep me sane.
Thank you. We love keeping people sane on this channel. That is our goal.
$50 super chat here from Full Metal just came in. Says, I truly believe feminism has a redefining edict. And my example is they can't define a woman. But I truly believe feminism is a religion that is practiced in the public school system, and they get away with it by not defining feminism as a religion.
Interesting. I think about that. I don't view these ideologies as religions necessarily, but I do 100% get with your point about defining a woman and their incapability of doing so, and how that's sort of fundamentally necessary if you're going to define yourself as a feminist. It's very interesting to watch these things sort of get their claws in our different institutions, and school is definitely one of them. So although I may disagree you on the religious aspect of the ideology, I certainly agree with you everywhere else. And I'm wondering if Full Metal is a reference to Full Metal Jacket, that movie, because I saw Trump recently used a clip from Full Metal Jacket in one of his advertisements, and people were saying, like, how dare you use this movie? You know, Stanley Kubrick would never. And Stanley Kubrick's daughter actually came out and was like, my dad would 100% support Donald Trump using this clip of Full Metal Jacket in his ad, and he stands by the message that's being said here. We're seeing people pop out of the woodworks slowly and surely, names you probably never would have thought would be in support of Donald Trump. And that really shows you where we're at as a country right now. People are feeling how vital it is to sort of speak up.
Imagination Junkie says, I have Columbus Day off, so I actually got to watch live for a change. Happy Monday. As Taylor talked with Gary from Nerdrotic about Rings of Power, maybe you can have him back on the show sometime.
We should have him back on the show.
When we recorded the thing about Black Panther, I think like a year or two ago with Gary, and in the Zoom call off the air, we talked a little bit about it. But yeah, I follow. He's my first watch. This year I didn't even watch the show. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But I did watch him and Critical Drinkers reviews of everything that was going on. And like, oh my goodness, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So
we should have him back. Shout out Gary.
Yeah, we love those guys. Rachel Rama just sends an emoji of a little hippopotamus on a chair waving. So that's cool.
Moodang. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel, for the support. Ryan Mitchell just sends a super chat, no message.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. SCL says, I'm tired of the Obamas pretending to be just regular black people when they are actually rich elite black people who are guilty of white flight in black skin.
White flight in black skin. Woo, that's a heavy accusation. They're leaving these black areas to be in more densely populated white areas, and then come out every blue moon to come and speak to black people, which is what they're doing. I struggle with this idea because like everybody's different. Everybody's different, and the fact that we're even like talking about people in these terms and with these communities is just so. It's just inherently wrong. Everything is wrong. We're all messed up, and I can't wait till we have some sense when it comes to these things. But what you're witnessing is very much true.
Here's one from Ryan Mitchell. It says, have you watched the Netflix show about JD's upbringing, Hillbilly Elegy? Very good. Highly recommended. By the way, I love your takes. Keep it up.
Yeah, I have. I haven't read the book Hillbilly Elegy, but I have watched his movie. It was really interesting. I think, Glenn Close gave a wonderful performance in that film. I was like just blown away by her acting. I'm always blown away by her acting. She's so talented. But yeah, it's a definitely interesting story, a humanizing one. If you don't like JD and you want to like learn a little bit more about his life. Now, how exactly true the movie is to his book and his actual story, I don't know, but it was definitely worth a watch.
Zachariah Blade says, my humor, if anyone cares. Day 314 of Screen Maxing with Amala. Real shorts for breakfast, pre-recorded videos for lunch, live shows for dinner.
You have to be screen maxing if you caught that joke, because I posted that one on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, that TikTok was hilarious. I gotta find that for those of you who want to see what he's actually referencing. This guy who's making a comedy video. Here it is, if it'll play.
We'll screen during breakfast. Then we go to our local screen store where we check if they have any new screens for us. And this is his main station where he can get upwards of 72 hours of screen time
Jordan
in a
Peterson
day.
on
and
Rogan.
Then when we're winding down for bed, I'll put on something less stimulating like a podcast or a soothing blue light. Day 217 of Screen Maxing My Toddler.
That is so funny. I love people with a good sense of humor. That is just absolutely hilarious. Not him going to bed to the talk to a podcast. Please. I love that.
Jordan Peterson on there too.
Too funny.
Oh dear. Jillybean412 just sends a super chat. Oh, here's the message. I had a Kamala poll caller last week. She tried to talk me into voting for Kamala Harris. The call when I said I was pro-life, she hung up quickly.
There you go. Just, I would honestly be like, oh, sorry, I can't talk right now. Hang up. I don't even have the energy to go through the whole spiel with these people. But I imagine, if you just say anything conservative, they'll be like, okay, have a good day. Peace out.
Yeah, I got a text from someone that's like, hi, I'm so-and-so with the Kamala campaign, but I just ignored it. Last year, or a couple years ago, I did that, and it was like a Newsom person, and I texted them back with like all this, snarky reasons why I'm not voting, about homelessness and, finding poop on my doorstep and having to call the cops for homeless people fighting outside my window.
And they left you on red, I
so
bet.
as soon as he fixes those, he's got my vote. But this time, I just didn't bother because... didn't want to take out all my frustrations on a poor poll worker.
Exactly.
Jennifer Garner just gave her, a speech to go out there and do it. So
exactly.
You guys are on the front lines. Intelligent Observer says President Obama low-key converted a lot of Democrats to Republicans this past week. Always here to support a half-breed like myself.
Half what?
Half-breed like myself.
Half-breed black. Okay, got you. Yeah, I think he did. I think this video woke a lot of people up, and they have a way of doing that. Every now and then, they just really hit us with a heater that brings a lot of people out of the Democratic Party.
Camtoon Yen just sends an emoji of a sad-looking video game controller.
Okay.
Where are y'all finding these emojis? Yeah, it's a super sticker. My bad. Super sticker. Interesting. Thank you, Camp2. Hawaii Girl 89 says, Gavin Newsom reminds me of the villain on Stranger Things, the guy that runs to try to get the girl that ran away.
I don't know that reference.
I think I know you're talking about the scientist guy who like made 11
Pop?
Into,
is that his name? The old man?
She calls him Pop, yeah. I think that's right. But yeah, he's got that, just movie villain look. Let's see. The Rhymes, A&T ever back in the same city? Greetings from Germany.
Every now and then, I feel like. I'm not in Nashville anytime soon, but you come this way.
I used to go to LA periodically, but it's been a minute now.
Right.
I think my wife has to go there for work in a few months, so maybe I'll head there. But it's honestly inconvenient to like try to do a show or anything from there because we just have to go in Omelas small studio.
Right.
So.
There's not a lot of space in here.
Lana says, I've always thought Obama's like a robot that's programmed to be hip. Isn't far from the truth. All the leading Dems pander by trying to be quote unquote hip. Look at Hillary Biden and his failed attempts.
Yeah, I mean, like, at least Obama actually comes off as like, I'm sure he's a cool guy, like outside of his horrible agenda. He actually comes off as he's legitimately got drip. But drip is not enough, my dude. Drip is not enough.
Charlie Roanhouse says, any chance of a collab with Will again? Loved your content together, and he's been on a journey, it seems.
Probably not. I haven't kept up with any of what's going on over there, so I don't see that happening in the near future.
Nick Brown says, I enjoy the show for conversations, chilling in the chat, and you're very easy on the eyes. I'm not a simp.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I never know what to say to those types of compliments, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Barbara Pecorelli says, I'm Venezuelan and it's a shame to see what is happening. I spent thousands to get my papers up to date. I migrated 10 years ago. They do not represent me nor the larger Venezuelan population.
No one hates illegal immigration like people who immigrated here legally. It's so very true.
Fletcher Boy says, Martha's Vineyard has a long black history and black culture. The Obama family, probably.
What was that?
So that's a fake quote from them.
Gotcha. Yeah, he'll come and talk to all these black people who are down and out in today's current economy and then just go fly back to Martha's Vineyard.
I'll never forget how quickly the upstanding citizens of Martha's Vineyard mobilized to get illegal immigrants out of their community.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That was wild. Send them somewhere else. Send them somewhere else. Send them to New York City. Send them to Aurora,
sanctuary here.
MCC says, I'm Latina, and they asked me as a survey if Bad Bunny would influence my vote. Don't fall for their celebrity endorsement game. They think we are dumb.
I know. It's like, okay, yeah, dude, really loved you in Breaking Bad. It's not going to influence the way that I vote. And I love when an actor comes out and they agree with me, because I'm like, oh, that's so rare and it's so cool that you have like a reasonable opinion in my view. But also, like, I'm not going to be like, Flynn Rider told me to vote for Donald Trump, so let me go make sure I show up at the polls, please. No.
And I think this is our last one here from Jake. Says Aurora, Colorado is a sanctuary city.
Well, shocker.
Yeah.
You'll just see everybody's going to flock. Well, now it's like everywhere is a sanctuary city at this point. I don't even think they're abiding by any of these guidelines that they've written for where people are meant to go and where they're not. I think they're just literally flying them wherever they want to be.
And we're a sanctuary country. One more came in here from DC Grace. Amala, do you think you'll ever move back to Orlando? I lived there a year before moving to LA and loved it.
Probably not. I'm not. I lived close to Orlando, like an hour away from Orlando, in like a more rural area of Florida. So if anything, I would move to like a more settled part. But I don't see Florida in my future as far as moving, and definitely not Orlando. Every time I go to Orlando, especially the downtown area, it is ghetto. I feel like somebody gets shot every weekend in Orlando. Yeah.
I used to go to Orlando a lot when I was younger with my family, and but I have nothing but great memories, of course.
Right, you're like going to
Disney
parks
and International Boulevard, and pretty, shopping and all that. But sad to hear it's gone the way of most of our cities. But I think that's our final super chat of the day.
All right, guys. Yeah, we did get one more. Thondra, thank you so much. You didn't put a message. I think you just put a #1 balloon. We appreciate
Emily
you.
Says, Emily Ayers says, when Trump increased tariffs on China back in 2019, what kind of impact did that have on inflation? Love y'all and your show. Oh, man. Economic question to...
Yeah. I've been looking into this because I keep hearing this like issue of tariffs go back and forth between these two candidates. I'll be honest, I don't have any strong opinion on tariffs. And I think it's pretty like universally agreed that you shouldn't go too hard on anybody. But when it comes to China, I'm like, fuck it. Go as hard on them as you possibly can. And I know it impacts us deeply, and it can create problems here on our side of the pond. And I was actually talking with somebody about this yesterday. I was talking to my best friend, Risa, which check out our channel. We just posted a new video on our second channel, Omri Unfiltered. And she was like, I wish we would just cut off everything that we do with China ever. We have such an adversarial relationship with them and their government and everything they're doing, all these jobs that we're outsourcing to them, all this back and forth with a country that absolutely hates us and what we stand for. And obviously that would like decimate the American economy if overnight that all took place. And I was like, you know what? Part of me on like a principle level is willing to go through that if it means the ties are cut, to be honest. That's my stance. Not that it's ever going to happen, because obviously it's not going to happen, but I'd be willing to take the hit.
Yeah, there are certain things like with the deficit and other, like there are some bitter pills that we'll have to swallow if we want to get a handle on our country and set it on a healthy path. But politics is such that you never really deal with things until it's basically too late, because the reality of your bad previous policy hits you in the face so hard that you have to do something. So I think that's true of our relationship with China and of like things like the national debt and the deficit and all that.
Doing like everything.
A couple more here. Sorry?
Everything's made in China. Like everything.
Yeah.
It's like our whole economy is built on China. It's crazy.
And it was kind of a deal with the devil. You can go back to Nixon administration, and a lot of these policies are decades old, and we got cheap goods out of it and cheap manufacturing, but it hurt our domestic manufacturing and really supported their economy, and now they are our chief adversary on the world stage. So Adonis here says biracial people should have their own voting block. Oh, Josh, do we need another one?
I don't think we need another one. I think
the slices of the pie are going to get so small.
Yeah, it's just so crazy how like identity influences everything. It's crazy that we like talk about the election the way we do. Like white women are doing this, black men are doing this, Hispanic people are doing that. It's like, is this really the way we should be referring to the people of our country, to Americans? And this is, and of course, like culturally and on a sex-based basis, we do make certain pattern choices, and that's why we discuss them. But it's something about it just really irks me to hear it, because it literally doesn't have anything to do with who you are as a person. Other than your sex, of course. Your sex informs a lot.
Patricia Miranda here says you are amazing in another super sticker. Thank you, Patricia.
Thanks, Patricia. Is that the last one?
One more here from Athandra. First time live, just watched a video about your story.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I always love knowing how many of you are first timers. If you are a first timer, drop it in the chat, in the live chat down below. You don't have to super chat me. Just drop it that you're a first timer, because I love to see how many of you are catching us for the very first time. Guys, that is our last super chat. You guys are banging in the super chats. We love talking to you guys. Appreciate it so very much. We're going to close out the show today. I would love to hear your thoughts on all the different things that we have covered today. Of course, I'm watching in the live chat, but drop your thoughts in the comments down below after the stream ends to let me know, how do you feel about black men being pandered to and them trying to roll out Obama? How do you feel about their efforts to speak to men and masculinity and get them out to vote? How does it inform the Harris-Walz campaign, and how does it inform the Trump-Vance campaign? Speaking of Vance, he bodied it on ABC talking about these Venezuelan migrants. How do you feel about that? Plus, we got a super chat from Chicken Pork Adobo that says, why cut ties with China if maybe China needs democracy? Wink, wink. Have a great day, guys. You know, a lot of people need a lot of things. And I think we're learning that we can't give everybody everything they need. And I think, you know, one of the most powerful things Americans can do is lead by example. And I think that influences people to make changes in their own countries more than virtually anything else. You see these protests that happen in other countries who are fighting for their freedom. They're not holding their country's flag. They're holding the American flag. And it's because we led by example. But we're losing that sort of pedestallation, I think, on the world stage that we once had, which is very much unfortunate, but hopefully we bring it back. Guys, if you like this live stream, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time we're live. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, plus 8 p.m. Universal Time. We post videos for you guys every single day. Tomorrow, we're doing an interesting video about cultural appropriation from a show called Dragon's Den, where some entrepreneurs came on to pitch their product. It's sort of like Shark Tank, but the Canadian version. And they got blasted for cultural appropriation by one of the judges / investors. We'll be doing a deep dive into that as it's gone massively viral. And the left is applauding this guy for calling out their cultural appropriation. So keep an eye out. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate every single one of you so very much. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.